Hey, Jenny.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. I think I'm going to intro and get going right away. Hey, Jenny's got a lot of good stuff to cover, and we've got quite an audience. So I think we can get started. So to those of you who do not know Jenny Klug, you must know who this amazing woman is. She works in our office, in her office, within the office. So if you haven't met her yet, this is where she is with her amazing team that continues to grow because we keep them busy with lots of business at Focus Title. And she is a wealth of knowledge on all things title.
And do you have like a copay for?
Always happy to answer questions and help. She's an incredible resource that we have right here in our office. We're so glad to have her and her amazing team. And she's going to tell you everything you need to know about Title 101 today, a really good introduction, and you should have gotten some information through email. If you haven't, put a comment in the notes and Mandy will make sure that she gets those to you. But without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jenny so she can get right to it. Thanks for coming, Jenny.
Thanks, Amanda, for the very lovely intro. Hello, everyone. Jenny Klug, Focus Title. I know it's been kind of a rough year with onboarding new agents, which they've done an amazing job getting them here, but we haven't been able to do, the meetings and title training classes and all of that that we like to do, introducing my team. But just a little bit of background about myself. Focus Title is part of Nightberry Title, if you didn't know that. I have been with Nightberry it'll be 12 years this year. So it's been a great ride. They're a really good company, and that's why I'm still with them. And then Focus Title came about because Keller Williams wanted to have a connection with the title company. So as Keller Williams grows, we have more Focus offices inside the Keller Williams. And so we're going to actually have a 5th office when the TOSA office opens up. So it's pretty amazing how much they're growing, and we're growing and just adding some great people. And so I came into the business not knowing title at all. I did hair for 25 years. I have my manager's license in hair, so I did that. But then this kind of came about, and I love my job. It's stressful. It changes every day. But it's just also such a neat environment, and working with and getting to know so many amazing agents and lenders and just different people. So it's been a really, really fun ride. And so basically what I'm just going to start you with is just kind of the steps of what we want you to have the knowledge of what you need to do and look for when you are going to a listing appointment, going to that first listing appointment, questions to ask, because there's, unfortunately, there are title issues that come up more times than we'd care them to, that we have to fix. And some are easy fixes and some are not easy fixes. So to start, so I think Mandy sent you, and I'm just going to kind of show you, because I'm not so good at these Zoom meetings. This is my first class. So I'm just going to show you, I have this checklist that I had her send everybody, that it's broker's closing checklist you guys should have in your emails. This really, if you put this on your laptop, on your bulletin board, just somewhere where you can reference this just kind of lets you know what we need, when we need it, and it really just makes everything go smoothly. So I'll just go over that briefly. When you go to your listing appointment, one of the things you want to ask them is if they have their prior title policy. It has a schedule A and a B. The front of it looks something like this. So it's got a schedule A and a B, and this is their prior title commitment. If they give you this, just hang on to it. So when they get an offer, they get a 20% discount. So it can be 100 to 2, 3, 4. It can be, depending on the purchase price, it can be a really good discount. So, and people never usually know where the title commitment is or what it is. And that's actually why when I do go to closings now, I let everybody know you're going to get this, hang on to it, because you go to close, you sell the property, you get a discount. And a couple $100, these people like that. So you want to make sure you ask for the final title policy at the listing appointment. Now, we used to have the FERPTA has gone back and forth with you guys. It doesn't have to be done at the listing appointment, but if you have it in your listing packet, have them fill it out right away, be done with it. If they don't do that, the FERPTA can now be filled out at the pre-sign or closing. It does not have to be ahead of time, so we'll just take care of the FERPTA if you don't have it in your listing packet. The other really big thing that we want you guys to have at the listing appointment, because we're always chasing this down, is the authorization form. So this, the seller fills out all their information, and we need all this information for the transfer return, as well as ordering the payoff. So this is filled out with first mortgage, second mortgage, if they know if there's an association. This is all stuff that we have to reach out and get. So we'll request a couple payoffs. One of the things that happens a lot in regards to payoffs, people have lines of credit. They don't automatically think that it's a mortgage. They are mortgages. So we need the second mortgage information, as well as the first. Also, a good question to ask is, because some will be like, oh, I've got a second mortgage. It's no big deal. I have a zero balance. I've never used it. It is a big deal. It's still attached to the property. So a good other question to ask is, oh, do you have a line of credit? Okay, great. Is it a zero balance? Okay, great. We still need all of the information. We still order a payoff, even if it's a zero balance, because we have to satisfy that open mortgage on the property. So the two big things again, first mortgage, second mortgage, line of credit, zero balance, we still need all the payoff information. Any questions up till now on the prior title or the authorization form?
I have one thing. I did, the Lake Country had, Andrea did a quick little focus title, little seminar. And one thing she did bring up was like, if they do have that zero balance on a line of credit or second mortgage, to have them not go ahead and close it out, let you guys close it out, because it's more timely if you guys do it.
Oh God, no, yes. And this happens again more than we never, ever, ever. We have people that'll be like, and the agents won't even know. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, oh, I closed that yesterday. It's no big deal. We're good to go. No, never close it, because now, depending on the bank, they have to close it. Then they have to satisfy it. And especially now with how slow government is and recordings at the Register of Deeds, we actually would not be able to, well, we could close it, but depending on if that line of credit was $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, we would have to hold that amount of money until the satisfaction showed up at the Register of Deeds. So it's very important, very good question. That's on my list, so very good question. Do not let people close out zero lines of credit. Let us do that, so nothing holds up the closing. Good one. Anything else? Okay, keep moving on. So we have a property profile, and we actually have a different one that literally we can get in a matter of minutes. If you go to a listing appointment and let's say someone's passed away, or there's a divorce, or you know, they're not sure if the title is held in a trust or an LLC, they can't remember. Or you're just not sure if they might be upside down. If you get any kind of vibes that there might be an issue, we can pull what's called a property profile. And that will let us know who actually owns the property, who is deeded as the name of the property. This is helpful, like it says, if there's a death or something like that, or you're just not sure. We can quick have the examiners check to say, hey, are there any judgments? Is there a foreclosure on this property? You guys can, and even we don't even have to pull full property profile, but if you are concerned about any title issues, just shoot us an email in any of the offices with the address, with the seller's name, and we can kind of look. If you just tell us, hey, I need to know specifically, is there this easement for this road? Or is there a judgment or a foreclosure? We can quick have the examiners take a quick peek for you guys and look to see, without having to do a whole title search, we can quick look at some things if you have a concern. So, so that's something else just to know. Now we do have the Focus Title app, which is, I had the link sent, Mandy should have sent that with the documents. If you go to the Focus Title app, and it should be working fine. I'm not sure if the new year there was some tweaks, but the Focus Title app can do amazing things. And there's tutorials on there. It's not, from what I understand, we have quite a few agents that use it regularly for buyer net sheets, seller net sheets, renting versus owning. There's a lot of tools in there that you can use to bring to a listing appointment, or a buyer's appointment, or someone's thinking of buying and not renting. You can personalize with your face, you can personalize with a lot of things on them. So it really looks like you did this beautiful whole spreadsheet and it's come from the app. So, so definitely download the app. You can use it on multiple devices, computer and phone. So just take a look at that, feel it out a little bit. It really can offer you a lot of good tools for that. So really, that's about it up to, so the authorization form, we talked about not closing mortgages. If you do know that the seller is an LLC, we do need to see the LLC documents. Those include an operating agreement and articles of incorporation, and sometimes a resolution. So, and this is all on the title commitment you would get from us, and we'll remind you along the way if that would happen. But if you're at the listing appointment and you find out it's an LLC, just kind of say to them, hey, we're going to need copies of your LLC documents for title. So at least just kind of puts that in the back of their head that we do need that. We also need to see a copy of the trust when the trustees are not the people that are the actual trust. So let's say mom and dad had the trust, they passed away, now the kids are the trustees. We do need to see a copy of the trust in that type of an instance, so we know that, oh, the kids can actually sign as trustees, or is it Uncle Bob, or is it somebody else? You know, we want to make sure the correct person is signing for the trust. But if mom and dad have the trust and they're alive, then we just have a form they fill out at closing. So just important things, trust docs and LLC docs can kind of mention at the listing appointment for that. Now, I think you guys should have this in your documents, title doc in your documents as part of your, I'm pretty sure that Kimmy put this in, so maybe this shouldn't be that, you should be familiar with this a little bit. Listing questionnaire for title. So this is something you can have filled out at the listing appointment. And it flags some things. If there's any issues, it kind of flags like, oh, did you have, any judgments have you been paying your mortgage on time? Did you build a fence on too far over on someone's property? So this kind of just makes them answer yes or no, and it'll give you if there's any red flags. So this is something that I didn't send Mandy, but she's going to send it to you guys. But it should be where you can get your other docs. But this is kind of a handy tool. It just helps you guys out it kind of might red flag if there's an issue. Okay. Okay, another important thing to talk about at the listing appointment is, and this happens all the time, if I bought a property by myself and it's my homestead and I live there and I meet somebody, we get married, I go to sell the property. Oh, he doesn't need to sign because I wasn't married to him when I bought the property. Well, that's false. Wisconsin's a marital/homestead state. So if I'm married, my husband has to sign everything from start to finish. Offer to purchase, they sign any amendments, and then they'll sign the deed and closing statement at closing. Basically, they sign the deed to release their homestead rights. So if it's a rental property, income property that the person never lived at, no big deal. Just the one person has to sign. But just remember, if someone is married, it does not matter if they purchased the property prior to their marriage. Everybody signs. Husband and wife sign everything. But just remember that. They have to sign everything. Because we do chase that a lot when we get to the time where we're like, hey, is this person married? Oh yeah, okay, well, let's add that, then we have to add the spouse with an amendment later. So just in the back of your head, if they're married, they need to sign everything from start to finish.
Johnny, just to clarify, that's only if it's their homestead or their residence and not if it's an investment property?
Yes, correct. If it's
Okay.
an investment property, just the one person needs to sign. If it is, it's homestead for one, and I even truthfully, just to be safe, let's say he maybe only lived there a month and they bought a property together or that kind of stuff. Because it's a homestead state, we just still have them sign the deed to release the homestead rights. So yeah, just to be safe, husband and wife sign everything unless it's an investment property. All right. So now you're going to get an offer. So you get an offer on the property. I tell everybody, get the ball rolling. Don't wait for inspection. Don't wait for anything. Just get title ordered as soon as possible. Let's say this deal falls through because of an inspection or something. 9 out of 10 times you're going to get another offer unless the basement's falling in. So we just want to get the ball rolling. We get busy. People want a quick close. We don't want anybody waiting. So if you get an accepted offer, by the time you get everything together, get the offer to us. So on the checklist again here, then we go to where it says, once you get an offer, what I need from you. So you're going to want to get us that accepted offer and any counters, amendments. Make sure we have the correct counter that, counter 3 is the one everybody signed, not counter 2. We just want to make sure we have the correct information. And you can send us this all just via email in one packet, in 5, 6, whatever you guys want to do. It doesn't matter. But we do not pull anything from any of your documents. You always want to make sure this is something that you have to initiate when you get an accepted offer on a listing. So a seller side, you guys have to send us everything via email. The prior title we talked about, if they have that to get the discount, we want that pretty close to the offer being sent in, because besides the fact that it provides a discount, it does shorten up our title examiner's search. So it is a tool for us to use, not just because of the discount. The authorization form then, so if you did not have them fill this out at the listing appointment, we can reach out to them, we can email it to them, we can be in contact with your seller and get them to fill this out. We just want to get the ball rolling again to get any payoffs ordered. Just for your reference, some payoffs we can get in 2 hours, some payoffs take 5 days. I have no idea. It's just what it is. So we want to make sure we get that in a timely manner, the authorization. We do have a buyer seller sheet that's also in forms. This one, it's just a quick blurb for us and just reiterates, so we make sure we're getting the right counteroffer. We're not missing anything. Is there an addendum? We want to make sure we get addendum A's. Is it a rental property? Make sure we get leases. Make sure we get, if you do the form, is it like an R form that has where you put the leases and rents in? So at least make sure we get that and it's correct. So if it's a rental property, we need leases, the rental form, all of that. So send that over. Your listing contract, send your listing contract because we need to know what to pay you. So make sure you send your listing contract along with that. We do need a copy of the earnest money. So once that is collected and sent over, then we do need a copy of the earnest money. So we have that all correct, because that does change sometimes along the way. There'll be a second earnest money, or it's a little bit of a different amount than that's on the offer. So we need to compare. Buyer's lender's information, which you can fill out on the buyer's seller sheet here at the bottom. We really like this information because we send an email to them. We ask for their business. We want to add the loan policy to our seller side. So on every deal, we send an email to the lender. So we really would like their contact information, trying to earn their business. So definitely fill in that. And then at this time, You can also send the LLC and trust docs if applicable. Any questions on the accepted offer stuff? I'm going to stop there and see if there's any questions. Okay, good.
I have a quick one, Jenny.
Oh yeah.
Does the authorization to release titles to be wet signed only?
Good question. Well, it used to have to be wet signed all the time. Now, because of what's happened in the world, I think we're finding that more lenders are okay with electronic signatures. So we are having the agents let the sellers fill this out via electronically. If we go back, because UW Credit Union might be one. I know there's one or two that are like, nope, we have to have a wet signature. So at that time, we get it early enough, you do the electronic, we request it, they say, nope, we need a wet, we'll come back to you and then ask for a wet signature. So that's a very good question also, because it
Okay, thank you.
All wet, but yes, guys can have them fill that out electronically. Thank you. All right. Also, just to stop for 1 sec, well, no, we'll keep going, I guess, on this. So, so then now we've got the accepted offer. Title gets done in about 5 business days. So you're going to see title come to your email in about 5 business days, along with just some affidavits that it's just for reference. We will have them sign everything at the pre-sign or closing. So I'm going to jump over to the title now. So I'm going to have you guys take a peek, and you guys should all have a copy of the focus title commitment. This we're going to go over because this comes out then in those 5 business days, and I want to educate you a little bit of what to look for when you get it out. We also take a look at it when it comes out right away to see if there's any red flags, things we need to get in touch with you or the seller about right away. On the title commitment, it's going to tell you who the title examiner is, who did the search. Any direct questions, you can contact them directly if you have a question about title, or just reach out to us as the closer. It's going to have a commitment date. The commitment date is usually a couple weeks back, and I would say even 4 weeks. That is because the Register of Deeds is behind that much usually on showing recordings in the system. So when we're searching, we can only go back so far. So this will be the date we can go back to search. So because the next 3 weeks, something else might show up. We do what's called a verbal update a day prior to closing, and our examiner goes back in and takes a peek. Did a judgment show up? Did his mortgage show up? Making sure nothing showed up so that we can close and we've cleaned everything up on title. It's going to show the purchase price. So usually I like the agents to take a look at this just to be sure we didn't make any mistakes. We didn't read the handwriting correctly. We had a typo. So I really love the agents to look at this and then just re-verify everything looks okay. So you're going to look at the purchase price. Do we have the right purchase price in here? Do we have the correct buyer's name in here? If there's a loan policy, the lender will give us this information to show us the loan policy amount and the name of the bank. Look here, the guy that signed the offer to purchase, is it the same person that's here in title? So we always want to be sure that you are dealing with the correct person signing. Again, if it's an estate, if it's a trust, we want to be sure that the buyer's name is here and that the seller's name is here and it's correct. The other thing to just take a quick glance at is just make sure we have the address correct. The rest of it, you don't need to worry about. We kind of look over that, make sure the tax key is correct and the legal description, but just a couple things, just making sure we didn't have any typos. It's just helpful to have another set of eyes look on this because we're all busy. So we try to just help each other out so we all look really good. The second page then shows requirements. These are my instructions. So this is going to tell me what I need to do. It's going to tell me that I need to make sure I collect payment for everything that we've done. And then this is going to say, oh, look in 4A, John and Jane are divorced. I need to get a copy of the marriage settlement agreement. So this backing up to the listing appointment, if you're dealing with someone that's going through a divorce, divorced recently, kind of put a little mental note too, we always need to see the marital settlement agreement. We need to be sure the spouse selling the property doesn't owe the other spouse any money. So just as an FYI, so this is telling me I need to look for that. So I would reach out to the seller for that. Then it just tells me I need to draft a deed and draft a mortgage accordingly with what the lender and the offer to purchase states. So that just reiterates what I need to do with the MSA and then drafting a deed and a mortgage. Any questions on title up till now? Okay, good. All right. Page 3, Schedule B. These are exceptions. So these first exceptions are on every title commitment. This kind of covers everybody's butt. If there's liens, let's say We Energies has an easement, they can get to the property. If there's any special assessments, liens, defects, this is just kind of rights or claims of parties in possession by public records. This is just general. And then we drop down to 100, and that just talks about, now we'll talk about taxes. We need to be sure the taxes are paid for the current year. So if they're not, we need to pay them. So that just makes sure, hey, we need to make sure the taxes are paid and prorate accordingly on the closing statement. Then we go to the next page. It's continuing the exceptions. This is where you will show judgments, liens, first mortgages, second mortgages. This is just, again, for reference. Oh gosh, this person has a judgment. I need to reach out to the seller and have them request a payoff. Or that's not me, it's someone with a similar name. Then we have them fill out a judgment affidavit at the pre-signer closing. So judgments, you'll see a lot are same names or similar names. They're not the person we're dealing with. So it's an easy fix with an affidavit. But if it is them, we will have to request the payoff. And usually need help from the seller on that when it's a judgment from a creditor. And then we just confirm, oh, they've got one mortgage. They filled out one mortgage on the authorization form. Nice and easy. We'll request the mortgage and then make sure we go through the title and make sure that we are paying everything off that needs to be paid off. Along the way, if you have an amendment that changes the price, you want to make sure you get that to us, and we'll update title. All of a sudden the buyer decides they want to buy it in the name of their trust. We have that happen a lot, it seems, lately. So again, we want to be sure that the deed is drafted correctly. So if someone decides to change their name to a trust, get that over to us. Amendments, purchase price, closing cost credits. Now that's something that we would show you, obviously on the closing statement, which I will go over a closing statement in a little bit. But basically, once you look over title and nothing's jumping out at you, you guys can forward it to your sellers and just say, here, this is for reference. You don't need to do anything with it. It's just for them to keep. We'll take care of taking care of the rest. So once you get the title back, then that's when we start working on getting the closing statement and numbers together. I try to get numbers out a week or two prior. I shoot for 2 weeks prior to closing to get numbers out, at least preliminary. We might not have the final payoff at that time. You guys are still working through inspection and some amendments, maybe adjustments for closing cost credits. Again, we'll just update the closing statement. We tend to update it quite a few times along the way. So we'll just do that. You'll get the closing statement via email to look at, make sure we have commissions correct, which let me just grab. You grab me a file. All right, I'm just gonna we'll print out a new one. All right, I'm just going to use an example of a closing statement here that we have for another file. I'm just taking some information. Okay, so you're going to get a closing statement in about 2 weeks prior to closing. So I want you to look at that. Make sure we've got purchase price correct, earnest money, again, it's just another set of eyes. Do we have the commissions correct? We'll do the prorations for the taxes and water. Tax and water prorations are all based off of the last bill. So taxes would be from 2020. Last water proration would be from the last quarterly bill. We check up to the closing date because bills will come out sometimes at the last minute. And so we try to update accordingly. Make sure we've got other admin fees. We've got the buyer agency agreement on this one. We've got the payoff, the overnight fee. I don't know if you guys can see it. Sorry, I'm so far away. This one we're paying a water bill on. So there's a water bill that's due. So we're going to make sure we're paying the water bill. There's a couple mortgage payoffs and then title fees, transfer tax, and then recording the deed. So this is the closing statement that you'll get emailed to you about 2 weeks or 1 to 2 weeks prior to closing. Just take a look at it, make sure, just kind of glance over it, make sure everything looks correctly, and then you can forward it to your seller for review. And then again, we'll reach out about that 2 weeks, 1 week prior to closing. Seems like most people are pre-signing these days. So we reach out and get a pre-sign set up in the office here with them. We try to have sellers not attend closings just because of COVID right now for a lot of reasons. And then just because they do. So we'll reach out for that pre-sign. Let me just look at my notes here. So then about this time too, if there's a home warranty, we're going to be asking for the home warranty invoice if we have not already. We want to make sure we have that. After the inspection, there tends to be maybe some work done. So we need to have paid invoices and lien waivers for work to be done. If it's a couple $100, paid receipt is fine. You get over 500, 1,000 or so dollars. There's really not a set limit or amount. I just say if it's large enough, if there was a contractor, he's got a business, most contractors know what lien waivers are and know that they're required when a property is sold. So make sure you're getting those lien waivers from the contractors. Sometimes work will be done at closing. Work will be done with the process of the sale, and windows had to be replaced, but they don't have the money. So everybody's agreed that we can have the windows paid for out of the proceeds. So a lot of times we'll have cleaners, maybe junk removal, a little bit of handyman work or something that needs to be paid at closing. So if indeed work was done, you want to make sure that we get those invoices and we can pay them at closing. Lastly, when it comes to the closing end of things, please be sure that you watch to see when you get notified when and where this is closing, because we a lot of times don't get those emails or not included in the initial one. It's usually the lender talking to the agents. So just be sure that you are letting us know when things are scheduled so we can get it on our calendar, because as we're busy, we want to make it's first come, first serve for closings. And, we try to, we can't have 5 closings at 10. So we got to rearrange accordingly. So just be sure you're letting us know when and where closings are happening. Any questions up until now?
Jenny, I would add to that when it comes to closings, if you're scheduling your closing here at Keller Williams, you should be using the SCEDA app. And if you don't know what that is, ask Mandy, ask me, we'll get you connected with that, or Megan, but you need to be scheduling those in that system. You can't just assume a room's going to be open for you.
Yes, and if we are part of the transaction, we usually book it, but I know the agents will ask, say, hey, are you going to book it or do you want me to book it? Or they'll tell us, hey, we booked it, you don't need to book it. So yeah, so just communicate with us if it's at the office here, whether you're gonna, reach out and get that on the calendar, or we will take care of doing that as well.
I have a question. If you, like on the buy side, sell side, whatever, but if you have a transaction coordinator, are they kind of communicating all that, like booking the room and all that kind of stuff with you?
Yes, the transaction, once the agents sells the property, we work pretty closely with the transaction coordinator, and we'll have the agent involved as needed. But I guess depending on the level of what your transaction coordinator, that would be something that you guys would probably make sure you discuss, like, what am I doing? And then what are you taking care of? So, but most of the admin, the TCs, let us know when it's closing, send us the amendments, stay in the loop. You know, they tend to be the ones doing the legwork, but we'll copy in the agents, you know, as needed, so they know that things are being done. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. This is kind of an FYI too. I know people ask us sometimes too. We can't really tell people not to, but let's say you have a seller that's selling a property at the beginning of the month, like right now. Closing is Friday, it's the 8th. People will ask us, do they need to pay their mortgage payment? I usually tell people that if it closes by the 10th as a safeguard, they do not. But anything closing after the 10th, they should go ahead and make their mortgage payment, just because of closings being pushed off possibly, or a weekend falling in the mix. We don't want anybody to get a late fee and it not be paid off on time. But that tends to be a seller question a lot, like, hey, do I need to make my mortgage payment this month? Again, kind of reference, if it's closing before the 10th, they don't need to make it. Along those lines, water bills, sellers will ask sometimes, should I pay a water bill? We always tell them, if it's due prior to closing, pay it. If it's not, we'll include it on the closing statement. So that water bills kind of can be we just miss it by a day or two, and it's just kind of one of those things that we get water bills back a lot. The sellers will pay them and forget they pay them, or they pay them and write the check out the day before closing, not realizing, and then we refund a lot of sellers water bills. So, but yeah, just for water bills is kind of reference to, they only need to pay it if it's due prior to closing. Cash closings, I have people ask this a lot too. Someone wants a quick close. Cash closings, I usually tell agents we can do a cash closing. Title is out in 5 business days. As long as there's no title issues, we can close a cash deal in 10 business days. Lender side, a little tougher because the lender has the TRID rules and everything that they need. So if there's a lender involved, we want to, say 4 weeks, 4 business date, 4 weeks that we could close that. We've thrown some closings together quickly if we can get the specials back, which we order when title's ordered. And that is what we reach out to each municipality for, to get the water bill, the tax bill. Is there a special assessment on the property? They owe money for a sidewalk or part of a driveway. And those take 5 business days to get back from the municipality. And when we're busy, truthfully, it can take them longer. With COVID, I feel like they're short-staffed, even more so. And so specials are taking a while to get back, especially when we're busy. So, and that's why I say, you get an offer, let's get title in right away. Let's get the ball rolling so we don't have anything that could possibly hold up closing. Okay. Oh, I know. So if you are more of a buyer's agent, so the buyer's title, when you have a buyer, the lender is the person who orders title. You do not. So if you have a buyer and you're working with their lender, you can definitely refer us to the lender and to the buyer, and say, hey, we'd love you to use Focus Title. Here, here's the information. That's just a second form of getting us our name out there, because like I said, when we get the offer at first, we will email them asking them for their business on a selling side. But on a buy side, we are not talking to you or the buyer or anybody early on when it's that situation. So if you are dealing with a buyer side only, just if you want to refer us, we love that. So ask them to use Focus Title. I think, asking is just half of it. Now that we've been around for 3 years, 3 years is focus title this February. More people know our name, and we have more and more lenders using us and having not a problem sending us the order. So as a buyer's agent, just ask the lender to do that for us, send the order to us.
So is that just kind of a conversation that you would have with that listing agent? Or,
Not even the listing agent. Well, I mean, you can with anybody. I mean,
okay,
you can talk to the listing agent. We do have some agents that we just actually had an order yesterday that they knew that we were going to get the lender's side of the order. And so they in turn sent us the listing side. So we've been getting more and more of that. So you can definitely talk to the listing agent. But the listing agent might say, oh no, I love attorney's title, so I'm going to send something to I'm going to send the listing part to attorney's title, which is fine. We have a lot of good relationships with the title companies in the area. We respect each other. We enjoy working together. So that is completely fine. But as the buyer's lender, they don't have to piggyback. Some of them will just piggyback, which is fine. They just want to do that. But a lot of lenders, if the buyer says, hey, no, can you use focus title? They work with my Keller Williams agent, they do a great job, whatever. The lender will just send us that part of the order. So sometimes we do just seller side, sometimes we do just buyer side, and sometimes we do both. So it just depends on where the order is falling. We've been getting more and more both sides, which is wonderful. So that means that the lender uses us, like then you guys use us. So we've been getting more and more both sides. But sometimes it just, happens to fall. So-and-so's friend works for this one or whatever, so we'll see other title companies on other sides of things.
okay. I was confused one time. I had a buyer and it's like the title was done up, not in this area, but then we ordered the title as my buyer through Focus Title. So I, being new, I wasn't sure. It's like, oh, there's like 2 title companies involved. How did this happen? What is happening? I am confused.
Yes, I know. We're one of the areas that have the split title companies, which a lot of other places don't. Which for whatever reason it is that I don't even know. I mean, even other places in the state don't do as many split as we do in this southeastern Wisconsin.
Yeah, I was actually fine with it because it was up in Horicon and all of a sudden Andrea was up there bringing all the paperwork back. I'm like, oh, I don't have to drive an hour to get the papers? Oh, cool.
Right. Yes. So we do take care of that. Well, and it's nice too. So those of you leading into that, since we're part of Knightberry Title and we have about 68 offices in the state, we search the whole state and we can do closings at any office in the state. So we can close at our Sturgeon Bay office. If someone's up there, we can go to Minocqua, we can go to Madison, we can anywhere. We have offices. We just did a closing. Someone signed a pre-sign and was traveling and they were in Viroqua, near Viroqua. So we had someone sign in Viroqua. We had someone sign in Baraboo recently. So having all of our Knightberry offices is also a really nice convenience for handling closings as well as pre-signs. So we can do that. I'm trying to think here. On a cash deal, we would have the seller's side would be the one ordering title, and then we just handle both sides of the closing. That is that's really the only time that we are as the seller side giving out wiring instructions. So as long as everybody follows our wiring instructions, and we would never forward you wiring instructions to send to your buyer, never. So the biggest thing with wire fraud is that agents' emails gets hacked. So we will always reach out to you for the buyer's email. We will copy you in the buyer's email. And we will send them the couple documents that can be signed electronically and then our wiring instructions. And we always ask them to call us to verify them before they're sending any money. This way, knock on wood, we've never had an issue with wire fraud because they're calling us, they're verifying where they're sending the money, and we're getting that done right away. So just be aware, we would never send you wiring instructions to forward to any of your buyers. So if you get anything like that, and I have twice, I have had hackers email me trying to pose as sellers, trying to change where the money was going. So it's definitely out there. It's definitely a little scary. So you just have to, anything seems off, it's probably off. So just be aware, we'll never send you wiring instructions. All right. Does anybody have any questions in general? Okay, so because we're part of Nightberry Title, so we'll talk about this. So Nightberry Title does offer seller side RON closing. So we do offer remote closings for seller side using our Nightberry Title department that does that. That being said, there is some, we offer it, but we seem to still have people come in. So to qualify for a RON signing, and it's all done electronically with them, a couple of things is, well, there's a fee because there's a fee for us doing it with this program. So it's $100 fee to do a remote closing, a RON closing for a seller. They have to have a camera and a microphone and good internet service. So these are all things we need to be sure. We've probably done too. We are doing with the COVID and everything. We have pre-signed people out back at the, now it's kind of cold, but we pre-signed people out back at the table here in Whitefish Bay where someone actually had COVID, and I set the documents outside. I walked inside, I signed with them on the phone through a window, and they were done. We Lysol took them away and set them to the side for a little bit. So we've signed COVID people like that. And we've also signed people that just didn't want to get close to us out there. Now that most agents aren't in the office and we're cleaning and wiping and masking, truthfully, the safest place probably is in our office right now in some ways, because to do a curbside closing, I'm actually getting closer to the side of someone's vehicle than I would be at our table that's this long. So I kind of recommend, let's just do it at our 6-foot table. I'll sit here, you sit here. We're not close together. And people are pretty comfortable with that. So we do offer the RON, and then you said about an ID. So there's IDs, you have to show driver's license to the remote closers via that way as well. We always, whenever you're notarizing anything, you have to see a picture ID, usually a driver's license. So, but for lenders side, we are pretty much doing in person. Most of the lenders are not quite ready for 100% remote. We do some half-half where they're signing some remotely, some in person with us. But there's a lot of software. I mean, with COVID, everybody's trying to figure out how to do this with, with these different programs that are offered. They have to have a lot of stuff synced together. So, I mean, it's going to be soon, but lenders are not quite ready for the remote, 100% remote closings at this point. So, hopefully that answered a question. Any other questions here?
I have a quick question. Can you talk a little bit about the fees on the buyer's side with the title?
Well, on the buyer's side for title, there's only 2 fees, and that's the $375 for the loan policy and $325 for closing. Any other fees on a buy side would come from the lender. So yeah, it's pretty much just, I think it's like $700 for the title fees for a buy side, recording the deed and the mortgage on the buy side, and then the rest would be lender fees, which are different with every lender. So
Thanks.
you're welcome. I'm just reading some of these questions here, so I make sure that I've got anything. Yes, and I was going to give you, if you want to, I don't know if you all have my email or not, but if you want to shoot me an email, just so I have each of your contact information. If you don't have any of the forms, I can send them to you as well. And just to initiate, like if you have any questions along the way before your first listing appointment or buyer. So let me just give you my email. It's Jenny, JENNYK at focustitlewi.com. So that's JENNYK at focustitlewi.com. So that way, if you think of questions later in the, like I respond, I check my emails pretty often. I try to respond to calls and emails fairly timely manner, or my out of office is on to direct you otherwise. But most of the time I find if an agent's calling me on a weekend or something, it's usually a quick question like, oh my God, this happened. What's the right thing to do or the right answer? Or I'm writing this amendment or, so I usually will take quick calls because I know if you guys are calling me, it's important and you need an answer pretty quickly. So, but my team here also responds to emails pretty quickly too as well. So, once you get in the loop with us on a regular basis, that you just gotta get in the groove of what we do, what needs to be done. And, we just want to help you guys have a smooth closing from start to finish and clean up any title issues. So, let's see, anything else that you guys can think of right now? I kind of just wanted to hit everything just a little bit, so you guys could, I'm going to do another training class in 2 weeks. If you guys can think of questions to ask me over the next 2 weeks, bring them to the meeting. And so, yeah, just think of any type of questions that you guys are brainstorming together, or you have some things come up at listing appointments. Because there's always some goofy things that come up. One of the big things that we see on title, and I think it's less and less just because the lenders are trying to be better about it. Mortgage satisfaction. Sometimes someone will maybe pay off a mortgage. 3 years ago, they refinanced, paid off a mortgage, but now they're going to sell it today. And it still shows the mortgage is still owed. That's one of the most common things that we have to do is legwork to get a satisfaction. And so the lenders, forgot to mail it in, or quite a few years ago, they would mail the original satisfaction to the seller with a letter and say, hey, this is yours to record, but nobody reads the letter. And then people would have original satisfactions in their paperwork all the time. So, but that's probably one of the biggest things we clean up is that somehow this mortgage payoff didn't get a satisfaction recorded. So depending if it's a big bank or a small bank, smaller local banks, we can get that done fairly timely. In bigger banks, not as timely as we'd like, but that tends to be one of the most common title issues. So, all right, anything else? Hopefully,
Thanks, Jenny.
this was helpful and maybe gave you guys some knowledge you didn't know. So I know it's hard going into the business of real estate and you don't realize, oh wait, what's this whole title end of it? So it definitely is an interesting and it can be a lot. But yes, we thank you guys so much and appreciate your business and looking forward to working with you more this year.
Awesome. Jenny, thanks so much for your time. We know you're a busy lady.
No.
And I think this is good information for people to be proactive. One of my biggest things that I talk about all the time is plan ahead, have a checklist, get the information in advance. Everything's so time sensitive that we do that the more we know what to anticipate and can get that information and that paperwork to you and have that whatever we need from our sellers and our buyers and help them to anticipate what will be needed, that makes everything go smoother for them, for title, for us, for the transaction. Nobody wants to have to delay closing for something silly, and it usually is because you don't know what to expect. So something like this is really helpful to people who don't know what the title piece is all about. So we really appreciate you taking the time to talk about that with us. Like Jenny said, if you have any questions, you can reach out to her by email. I can vouch for the fact that she's like a little too available to answer questions in kind of a amazing way, considering how often she's in closings and working during the day at all hours. But if you do have questions, she's a great resource and always has a great, clear, helpful answer. Of course, you can reach out to any of us as well in the launch program. But thank you for taking the time to talk to our group today. Thanks to everybody who came. We had a nice turnout, which is fabulous for the start of the year.
Right.
For those of you who have been attending launch or this is your first launch class, we'll be back to regular classes starting next Tuesday with me. I highly encourage that you go back through the library as well. And this recording will be in our YouTube channel also. So if you want to review any of the title info or there's somebody who missed it that you're talking to, definitely direct them to that video. Oftentimes, a lot of the questions we have for Jenny are in those sorts of resources. So good thing to go back to. And I'll have more info for you about what upcoming classes will be this quarter for launch. And I'll be talking to Janine, who has productivity on Thursdays. So we've got a really great year of information upcoming. And we're glad that you're here. We're hoping you are excited and ready to rock 2021 and shed 2020. And I think we've got some really good info coming up. If you have not reached out to me and you're a new agent and want to set up an accountability call to set up your goals, to talk about your top 5, to just kind of work on your progress into the beginning of your career in real estate, send me a text. My number is 414-534-7982. That's 414-534-7982. You can text me to set up a 20-minute call for that. Also, there's the helpline. We're all here to help you. There's going to be some cool things coming with launch this year. So we're excited to reveal that in the next month. Thanks again, Jenny. We really appreciate you. And if you haven't met Jenny, you know, if you happen to be popping into the office for something with your mask on and you run past the Focus Title offices, you will hear Jenny laughing. I promise you that. So pop in and say hi.
Thanks.
And
All right, have a good day, everybody.
yeah, thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.